So yeah, you could definitely check us out at www.portalgatherings.com. And with that said, let's go ahead and introduce uh, our first guest. It is my pleasure to introduce Agnieszka Evenson, an educator and expert in the fields of body language, communication, and personal development. She has served on the board of directors at Unity back in 2010, and over time, her passion evolved into specialized training, leading her to create her own courses in body language and face reading. Today, Agnieszka shares her expertise through two signature programs: face reading training and Own Your Body Language. She is currently involved with the University of Reason, where she teaches copywriting and communication. Her work empowers others to understand the unspoken language of the body and to communicate with greater authenticity, clarity, and confidence. Please join me in welcoming Agnieszka Evenson.
Hey.
How are you, Agnieszka? Thank you for being with us today.
I'm just going to quickly go and grab this and share it in the chat with you guys, and then everybody can download it. You have to go to the second page. Oh, because it's all currently open. Oh my goodness. Can you send it, the two documents, Carlos? Because it's not letting me send it because it's
Sure. Just give me a second. I'll go ahead and post that in the chat.
Yeah. So the one that's not the article, but the elephant. So I'm sharing two things with you guys. One is the article that I wrote when I first figured this out and compiled the elements of manifestation card. And the second one is just the printout that I use. I would print like a whole page of these elements of manifestation cards and then put them like in my bathroom, in my wallet, whatever. So it's like a whole page of these little squares, and each one has the elements of manifestation. And the article is going to explain to you after you leave this meeting, if you forget my words or whatever, the article will clarify how to use this little key, elements of manifestation. But essentially, I was at the time, I think this key only had 5 positions on it, and I think now it has 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got 8 positions in it right now. So at the time it only had 5, but I was missing something because I knew I was sitting. I remember it was shortly after I divorced my first husband, and we were having burgers to celebrate our divorce. And I was talking about this key and saying, I think I'm missing certain elements in this key to manifestation, but I really don't know what. There's something missing. And that's when the last 3 or 4 came up, or 3 came up, because it needed to be, and then I'll explain them in order, but it needed to have more urgency, more gas, essentially. So basically the way I view this little square, this little handout, is imagine that your manifestation, your spirit, your soul has like a control board, like, for music or whatever. And it's got all these little knobs on it, right? So these 8 items are 8 knobs on your control board. And in the elements of manifestation, I teach you how to adjust each one of these 8 knobs in order to bring yourself vibrationally closer to the vibration of whatever you desire. So say you're manifesting a microwave, or you're manifesting a refrigerator, or you're manifesting $1 million. But you know what? I have to tell you from experience, it's a lot easier to manifest a refrigerator or a microwave than $1 million, because in your mind, it's more credible, right? So that dial, believe it'll happen, it's going to be much easier to be adjusted. If you're, how deep should I get into it? Well, you're always governed by the consciousness that surrounds you, right? And everybody around you, all the people, like say in this neighborhood where I'm here sitting in my house, and there's all these people in the neighborhood, all of their thoughts and beliefs influence how I can create my reality. And all of these people think that it's very unrealistic to get $1 million. So that will influence how I can manifest that $1 million. It's of course possible, but it will influence it. But if I'm manifesting a refrigerator, everyone in these people believes that one can have a refrigerator. They all already have a refrigerator. It's not a big deal. So then you're not struggling against belief systems that are even outside of your own belief systems to push you off the path. So if you're just starting to create your own reality, maybe start with something super easy, like someone's going to buy me a coffee, or I'm going to find $20 on the ground, or something like easier, smaller, so that you can get into it and see it working. And if it's not working, it is my position that some of the dials are not adjusted. So let me talk about the dials, right? You guys might already have opened the document or not, doesn't matter, you have it. If you download it during this meeting, because after this meeting it might disappear. But you know what, I can send the documents in the email too after.
I actually posted the documents in the chat. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
And just to make sure I'm looking at the right one here,
okay.
I'm looking at the Elements of Manifestation document where I see boxes REAL.
Yeah, that's the first page.
Okay,
that was something else I was working on. Go to the second page.
Okay.
That page is a bonus.
Okay.
It's an undocumented feature. So, okay, so the little squares that says Elements of Manifestation at the top.
Got it.
So these, I would say that these dials could be adjusted in order to bring you closer to whatever you desire, whatever it is that you want. It doesn't matter, you know, like even if you want a more comfortable chair or a better boyfriend, doesn't matter, girlfriend, whatever. Number one, and this is the paramount value, is to be grateful for what you already have. That means be grateful for being single. That means be grateful for the shitty chair you already have. That means be grateful for not having a fridge, but having cool nights so you can cool your stuff, you know? Excuse me for a second.
Bless you.
I got too excited.
Okay, so I definitely like the first one. So basically, be grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's something that I've definitely been working on. Be grateful for the simple things like this glass of water, right? Like that. Without it, I wouldn't even be alive.
But like in relation to what you're creating. So does anybody here want to tell me what they're trying to manifest? What's their next step? Anybody, you can say.
You know,
first.
I can give you an example because I'm actually trying to manifest like I recently, after many years of not being on social media, I basically started to be back on social media, but in a positive way. And I don't have like a lot of like followers. I'm working on building followers, so I would like to manifest like
followers.
Like sharing my work with other people.
So be grateful also takes into consideration what you already have. You already have followers. Look at these people, these 12 people in this meeting right now. They're all here because they're your followers. So start from the feeling of, I'm already there. I'm already grateful. I already have followers. I need to grow my followers, but look at the wonderful, amazing followers I already have. I have right now, you know? So the be grateful is adjusting that dial and saying, I already have this and it's so wonderful. You know, I already have a chair. I already have a fridge and it's wonderful that I have it. I have somewhere to sit. I have somewhere to put my food. You know, I already have followers. I already have dollars. I don't have millions of dollars, but I already have dollars. And these are awesome dollars that I have. Like a lot of people will have, say, a few dollars and they'll want more dollars and they'll talk to their dollars that they already have. Like, oh, you crappy dollars, you're not enough dollars. But that's not how you talk, or that's not how you adjust the dial in order to be grateful and grow the dollars, because you have to take the little dollars that you have and pet them and tell them they're a good boy, and then more will come, right? Just the feeling of it.
It reminds me of like how the law of attraction can be used in the opposite way. Like if you have that scarcity mindset, then you kind of push away money when you're trying
It's the same way.
Right.
It's not the opposite way. If you're pushing scarcity, you're going to receive scarcity. If you're pushing, like if you're saying, oh my God, these dollars, they're not enough dollars, you're manifesting. Whether you like it or not, you're always manifesting.
Right. Yeah, that was my point there.
Now,
Yeah.
this is also like what the term affirmation, how you talk to your subconscious by affirmative statements. Is that about the same thing?
See, when I hear the word affirmations, I think of something cheesy and fake and unreal. Like there's a video of Abraham Hicks where she says, I'm gonna have more dollars. And then, oh, where are my dollars? How are they not here yet? You know, and then getting like if the affirmation contradicts your reality too far, then you can have an angry response to the affirmation.
Right, but that's if you're thinking ahead into the future or you're thinking into the past. But if you're in the present and saying, I'm taking baby steps, but I know where this is going. This is going to take me right to the right place.
But you're getting ahead of yourself. Hang on, this is just be grateful. We're on point 1.
Okay.
So like, sit back down, sir. Sit back down. There's 7 more to go.
Okay.
How come my video is
So
not Carlos? It's like pinned on Barry for some reason.
no, I can see
Okay.
you right now. It's on my end.
Oh, it's not putting me. I have it on the wrong. Sorry, this is for the recording. Sorry, everybody. Maybe I'll just pin myself.
Well,
for now.
on my end, I'm looking at you right now, and
Yeah, but I'm doing the
set up.
second recording, and I have to make sure I give you quality stuff so you can edit it. I just pinned myself for the my section, and then Barry can, and you can figure it out.
So okay, so on the segue here, we went from being grateful. The next one is expected.
Right. The next one is expected because we can, so say you're grateful, you got that knob, you adjusted it, you know exactly where it's at. Okay, next one, gratitude. Next one is expectation. You have to expect it, right? Because then that's the problem with trying to manifest $1 million, because it's really hard to expect it, because looking around, most people you know have not received $1 million. Therefore, how can I expect it if it's not happening to anybody else? So you just have to figure out how to adjust your expectations. Like say you are manifesting large amounts of money. You can say, you know, I see a lot of people having more and more money every day. My Uncle Ted has a lot of money. You know, he may not have $1 million, but he's got a lot of money. It is possible to have money. I can have money, you know, and just examine your belief systems around expecting it. Because do you really believe it'll happen? Because if you believe it'll never happen, whatever it is, for example, you, Carlos, if you believe that it'll never happen, followers thing, like the followers will never come. It's so far, it's so hard to get followers. Any one of those thoughts will turn that expected dial down, right? So having like, oh, I see a lot of people having a lot of followers on the internet. Look how many people are there. I'm sure that it can happen. It happened to them, and I'm following them, and I'm watching them, and I'm learning from them, and then I'm creating my own content, and I'm working it. I'm making sure it's always better. So of course it's going to happen. Of course it's coming, right?
Okay.
So the next step is related to it. Imagine it in detail. So close your eyes and think about it. You know, you're in that moment when you received the thousands or millions of followers, whoever you want. Sorry. Well, you're in that point where you've received these millions of followers. They're here for you. They're following you. They're loving you. You're getting all this energy. This is amazing. You're feeling like you're on top of the world, right? There's probably some trolls, but we don't worry about them because there's followers and they're great. And just making sure you're continually adjusting that dial to imagining it in detail, creating that reality in your head where are you going to live, what it's going to look like, right? Or where are you going to be living with, you know? So imagining it in detail is pretty easy. The next one, believe it'll happen. That's pretty easy too, because we can talk ourselves into believing, but you have to do that. Into believing it'll happen. You believe it'll happen, right? But then the next one, that's the really hard one. Because after you've talked yourself into believing it'll absolutely happen, and you're 100% sure, you expect it, you have it in details, you know it's going to happen. At that moment, you have to take the next dial and turn it completely down. Like, if this never happens, I'm fine. If it never happens, I don't care, because it's the graspiness. Like, I need it to happen now. I need it to happen now. The graspiness is what keeps it away. As long as your hands are closed and pulling something in, you are not able to receive, because receiving depends on your open hands to be able to receive. So if you're clutching onto something, you're grasping onto something really hard, you cannot receive it because your hands are not open to be receiving. They're already closed, they're already afraid, they're already in some other energy. So if it never happens, you'll be fine. If I never get a better chair, I'll be fine. This chair is great. This chair is fine. You know, I believe I'll get a better chair, but if I never get a better chair, it's fine. If I never get more than whatever followers I already have, it's okay. I know I'm my worth. I don't need followers. I know they're going to come, but it's not necessary. If they don't come, I'll figure another way of doing it. It's not a problem. Complete indifference. What do you think of that, Carlos?
I love it. I actually have some notes. I want you to finish because I think you touched on two amazing things that are extremely important that I want to talk to you further about. So, but I'll wait till
Well,
you.
we can talk about these two now because these are the
Okay.
most confusing bits.
Yeah. Oh, well,
in
okay.
this
On that note, the two things that stood out for me is beliefs and identity. I think those were when you were kind of going the be grateful, expect it, imagine in detail. What I was thinking to myself is like, what is my identity in all this? Because a lot of times, going back to what you're saying, letting go of the outcome can be very, very difficult. And I think that when we attach our identity, right, who we create, and a lot of this identity is created like when we were younger children, right? And so sometimes people are not even aware of this. So I think that's a key aspect that you kind of touch on there. And the other one was your beliefs. Like, what are people, right? What do you believe in, right?
But
Like,
your beliefs are not solid. They're flexible, right?
right, right.
Find a belief that you don't like or is no longer who you are, you can take it out and throw it out and bring a new belief in its place, right?
So what's fascinating about what you're saying is what you're saying touches on these two things that in my opinion, a lot of people move to the behavior aspect of things. You got to do this, you got to do that, and they completely let go or forget about these important things that you're talking about, like your identity, your belief, like that. And I think that what I'm getting from, if I'm getting it right, that's kind of what I'm getting from you is kind of like a self-analysis of.
We should probably have a whole separate portal panel on identity and archetypes, because that's also fluid. Like, we're taught that our emotions are static, our beliefs are static, and our identity is static. But in reality, all of those things are completely fluid. And we are the carvers, the makers, the creators of all of those things. You're not governed by your emotions. Your emotions govern your creative output. You're not, governed by your identity. You are the master of your identity. You create your identity based on input from the outside. And as a child, that would be like a default identity of your family. But as an adult, you create your own identity, right? So making sure that you've and it seems so counterintuitive to believe that it'll happen 100%, be dedicated to knowing that whatever you're creating in this world is happening. And at the same time, if it never happens, you're completely happy, completely fine. It's the biggest problem there. Not problem, challenge, I guess. So the next one is easy. If you have
before you go on, can
sorry
here? Because I'm having a bit of an issue or a problem with understanding. From my viewpoint, expectations can be highly dangerous, and it gets you into thinking of that you know what the future is going to be. And I view it as, if I don't have expectations, but I know cause and effect. So if I'm concentrating, I'm doing this, and I don't know the exact effect it's going to have, but I know the direction that effect is going to going to have. It's going to be in the positive direction, but I don't know what it will bring, whether it will bring anything or not. But I'm going to just stay focused right now, right here, and doing the things that will cause some future events, but I don't know exactly what. And so
So see,
that's,
that comes down to intent, Barry. And so that's the higher level. That's the level up from this. Because when I was still learning, when I was still figuring out the spirituality parts of my reality, it was very transactional. It was very like, I wonder about this and I wonder about that, right? And then over the years, like, I mean, okay, so think about it. 2010 is when I first wrote this down, right? So maybe 2005 or around 2000 is when I started developing these concepts, right? But it probably was in the last 15 or in the last 10 years, or maybe even last 7 years, that I've let go of trying to direct a boat and allowed someone else to drive the boat. But that's a whole other panel. Letting someone else drive the boat is a whole other panel, because
yeah,
most people are not on that level. And we can certainly, absolutely, and there's panels we can certainly do that. I think that would be a great idea to do that, about archetypes and who drives the boat. But right now, it doesn't matter if you're creating this because you're being driven by God or higher power or your own upstairs identity. If that's behind the wheel, or if you're trying to be behind the wheel, this will work either way. But that expected part wouldn't be in existent if you let God drive your boat, because you don't expect anything, because you're not driving the boat, so you have no expectations. You're just experiencing it and working with whatever comes to you. But
yeah,
at the other
I like
level,
that.
you're
I like
still
that.
creating it
I
actively.
like that part. Just turn it off. Turn off that expectation, because it
But
doesn't
not
matter.
everybody is ready for that. That's like a whole other, like, we
Uh,
can't go to a kindergarten and expect them to write an essay, right? And I'm not saying that people are, like it's an age thing or it's how many books you've read. It's just a development thing. I've been developing this branch of my identity, and now I'm developing this branch of my identity. And I remember manifesting a microwave, like thinking about a microwave. Now I would never even use a microwave, but there was a time where I created a microwave out of thin air and it showed up on my doorstep. It's one of my proudest moments. Like,
yeah.
I was thinking about this microwave on the bus on the way home from work, but that's a different lifetime, different level.
Hello, Holly.
Okay, let's keep going because we only have a few left. So the next one is trust the universe. So once you get past the trickiness of expectations, belief, and letting go, that's the tricky bit. Trust the universe is easy, as long as you don't forget to trust the universe. My grandma would forget to trust God every now and then, and I would have to remind her that worrying and faith, they're not in the same box. Because if you have faith, you don't need to worry. So trust the universe. Remind yourself, like, take that dial in your hand and remind yourself, hey, I believe in God. I believe in myself. I believe in my higher power. I believe in whoever's driving my boat. I believe in these people. I believe in the upstairs. I'm turning that dial all the way up, right? Trust the universe. So now the next one is tricky as well, because the any minute now attitude, this is what came to me under the tree. At the beginning, I mentioned I was sitting under a tree thinking about the next steps after having lunch with my ex. Any minute now attitude. The biggest tripping with manifestation is that people believe, oh, I should pin myself again. The biggest trick with manifestation is that people believe that it's going to happen in the future, in some future, October, maybe next year, maybe in 6 months, maybe in 20 days, maybe in 15 days. It's going to happen someday, but it's not going to happen someday unless you believe it's going to happen right now, right away, whenever it's happening. If if you're relying for upstairs to drive your boat, they know what they're doing. Of course it's happening. It's already on its way to you. It's got on this train, it's got the ticket, it's coming to you. But you have to meet it somewhere. You can't just sit in your chair and expect your other chair to come. You can't just sit and wait for it to come. So the last two, the any minute now attitude and the take the first step, are key to putting a little bit of energy, making a deposit on your creation, knowing that it's coming any day, and then taking a first step. Now, I'll tell you a secret. That first step does not have to be in the right direction. The first step can be in any direction, as long as you believe and think about that this is where you're going. You know, say you want to be more outgoing and you want to meet girls, but your first step is to just go get a coffee at the coffee shop. Your first step is just signing up for a pottery class. You know, you still haven't met anybody and all the ladies are way too old for you in the pottery class, but you've taken yourself out of the house and you've taken the first step. You're giving the universe a sign that you're really committed to this manifestation. You're really committed to this reality. You're willing to do whatever it takes to go that way. And it doesn't matter if the first step doesn't work out, if all the ladies are too old, if all the chairs are uncomfortable, if all the fridges are not your style, whatever, it doesn't matter. You've taken the first step.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm taking questions. My soapbox is done.
Well, thank you for that, Agnieszka. Like I said, I really enjoyed your steps because they're very unlike what I usually hear. Usually people are like, you got to do this. It's more behavior based, right? Which behavior is, or action is important. Obviously, if you don't take action, nothing's ever going to happen, correct? But I really like the way you framed it. And again, I kind of wrote down two main topics, and I think that very few people touch on this because, and I think this is the key because it's more about coming from the inside out as opposed from the outside in and trying to force your way, right? Like you often hear, oh, I want to lose weight, so I just got to go to the gym 5 times a week. And how many people do that and then they never reach their goal, right? They're just focusing in on the behavior, not on the other aspects that you touched upon, which are like that I kind of stood out to me, identity. But with that said, I want to open it up to any questions that people might have for Agnieszka.
Yeah.
How is everybody doing? Are we having fun?
Well,
Yeah.
we can definitely we're going to have more questions at the end of the podcast as well for Barry's presentation.
Let me ask you a question here.
All right.
As far as your focus there, tell me a little bit about the difference between concentrating on the weight of your thinking or your action toward this particular idea or goal. Is it looking at the world exclusively, or is it a balance between keeping your mindset, that what's going on in your mind, no matter what's happening outside in reality, you want to keep maintaining this conscious awareness of where you're going and where you are. And that's part of what you're talking about, right?
Right. I mean, it depends where you're going at the time, if you're directing yourself or whatever, right? But everybody is on a different trajectory at a different time in their lives. So these steps of elements of manifestation, you can adjust to whatever level you're at. Whether you're manifesting a cup of coffee or ascendance.
Right. Like I'm talking about trust and heart. That your focus is out and to get into the world what you're looking for, but you're keeping a part of your consciousness as to that you're trusting yourself, you're trusting the universe, and you also have the heart, the conviction and the courage and the emotional connectivity or integrity that that's even more central or focused than where you're going outside in the world. Is that part of what you're talking about?
Absolutely. I think that the heart part of it was covered in like be grateful, expect it, believe it'll happen. And then the trust is in the trust the universe, because in my philosophy, the universe is whatever you believe it, whether you believe in higher self, God, some other higher power, whoever it is, you know.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, good.
Nice. Okay, you can have a turn telling them how to adjust vibrations, because it's all about vibrations. Everything I've been talking about is about vibrations. So
Okay.
now Barry is going to go a lot deeper into vibrations.
That's right.
All right, so perfect segue. Just make sure I'm on. Oh,
Oh no, I caught Carlos off guard.
okay, so it is an honor to introduce Barry Varon, whose journey into psychology began over 5 decades ago. Within the walls of the prison industrial complex, his early experiences working in correctional facilities and other institutions where people's freedom was taken away sparked a profound curiosity about the human mind, how it adapts, struggles, and seeks meaning. Barry later expanded his skill set with 6 years in computer technology at Sony and 6 years as a financial consultant. But his core passion has always remained rooted in understanding people and knowledge. Since the age of around 30, he has pursued an ambitious intellectual path, synthesizing decades of research into what he calls and what I call his opus magnus, a unified knowledge ontology that weaves together insights across psychology, philosophy, and science. With that said, Barry, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank
Thank you.
everybody for joining us here. And I need to share my screen. Let's see if I can do that. With this and this, just here. That should be sharing now. Looks like it is.
Yes, we can see your screen. Manifest humanity, spirit, mind, body.
All right. Now I have an Achilles heel, and that is I usually talk over people's heads. And I've been told many times you need an on-ramp to whatever I talk about. So I'm going to try my best. And I have put together a PowerPoint presentation to kind of tie me down pretty much. So if it is difficult, we'll have questions and answers so I can kind of clear up the mysteries that I might lay out for you. So we're here is talking about manifest humanity, being that we're manifested in spirit, mind, and body. And today, manifesting is a popular practice. It involves focusing on one's thoughts and intentions on a specific goal or an outcome, and using techniques such as meditation and visualization to bring it into reality. Some people dismiss manifesting as a form of superstition or magical thinking, and others believe that it has a basis in science and it can be an effective tool for personal growth and self-improvement. Let me shift over to another slide here. I got two screens, so I got to kind of maneuver around a bit. There we go. Humanity manifests as a divine spark of creativity. To begin with, humanity itself is a manifestation of the universe. Humanity is the only species that possesses the power of mind and all that its power commands. And my intention is to identify the power of mind in its relation to the universe and to manifest reality. Let's move on. And let's get me over here. Okay, and this is well expressed by Walter Russell, well-known, prominent scientist. And he says, I believe that there is but one thinker in the universe, that my thinking is his thinking, and that every man's thinking is an extension through God of every other man's thinking. I therefore think that my thinking, the greater the standards of all man's thinking will be. I'm misreading that. I therefore think that the greater the exaltation and ecstasy of my thinking, the greater the standards of all man's thinking will be. Each man is thus empowered to uplift all men, as each drop of water uplifts the entire ocean. And let's move again. Perspectives, unified and diversified, which are connected and separate. So the key is the balance. You have here the Tao, the yin and the yang. We have a mind, a brain, which picks up the information from the mind. And we have a heart, which is the center of our emotion. And we want to balance that so that our perspective is, on the one hand, objective, but also, on the other hand, subjective. Let's see, did I get... Hold on, let me shift my other screen here. Okay, during your life, you have but three primary perspectives. They are unified, diversified, and essential. Your mind affords you the essential perspective. It's the bridge between the unified perspective and the diversified perspective. You must align all three before you gain a holistic personal perspective. Until then, everything seems separate and random, but balance is the key. Let's move to the next phrase, next line here. Your center of the universe viewpoint. Each of us looks at the world from within our mind and our body out to the world, so we each have a unique perspective. This picture shows a man who has left the diversified perspective, that's the car and the road, and is standing at the threshold of the essential perspective. Thus, he's standing at his mind's door. He appreciates his mind as the bridge to the unified perspective of energy, frequency, and vibration. So you can see in the distance between that, over that bridge and through that door, is vibration. Frequencies and vibrations all mix in together because it's a very complex universe we have. Okay, let's move on. There we go. Your awareness has levels. I guess I jumped too far in that one there. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. The 4 levels of essential awareness are cosmic, all creation, psychic and spiritual, morphic, collective conscious, acquired from education, culture, and society, language, especially guides enculturation, psychic, ideas, attitudes, and self-awareness of your own, in your own mind, and sensorial, which is physiology. It's a level of sensory nervous system. And so you see the picture here, there's a human being in the middle, but it's showing that there are different levels of awareness. So right there, you see 3 different toruses or auras, where the person has his own psychic, first of all, neurologic, and then psychic, and then morphologic is collective conscious, and contributions of language particularly, and cosmogenic or cosmological, that we also are unconsciously or subconsciously influenced because we're a part of the universe. We have a divine spark that talks to us. So let's go to the next one.
Barry, real quick, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So these 4 levels of awareness, what's the etymology of these concepts? Like, is it something that you came up with yourself, or something that you put together based off like your experience based on other people's work?
Well, let's say I've specified it and identified it in language, but it has been around for ages and ages. So
Yeah,
but
fascinating.
the picture came from, not from me, but has been around for a very long time. But I just kind of laid out that it is actually identifiable what those different spheres are.
Awesome. Okay, I'll wait for further questions
just-
to the end of your presentation there. But okay, this is fascinating.
I
I mean,
just want
there's
to something.
yeah, go ahead.
Where we were talking before about me manifesting a microwave versus letting somebody drive my life, this fits into this idea, right? But the manifesting my microwave would have been a psychogenic. The neurogenic would be manifesting by default, like in your reality. And then maybe me manifesting, like the life I live now would maybe even be morphogenic. I don't know. How do you see that, Barry?
Well, like you were talking about, your neighbors are influencing what you're going to get out of your efforts to manifest something, because that's the collective unconscious or the collective conscious. That's what we learn or enculturated in. So yeah, that's the morphogenics, is how everybody contributes to this whole dynamic of knowledge. And it is dynamic. It operates all the time. Okay, so shall we go on now? Let's see here. Next one. Cosmology. Let me get my note page going up here. Oh, here it is. Okay. Cosmology, energy, frequency, and vibration. No point is more central than this, that empty space is not empty. It is the seat of the most violent physics. Dr. John Wheeler. He worked with Einstein, one of the most brilliant people ever existed. What we call reality arises in the last analysis from the posing of questions, and that all things physical are information in origin. This is a participatory universe. This philosophical perspective implies that the quantum field, filled with potential and energy, is shaped by observation, further emphasizing its dynamic and energetic nature. Okay. Stay mindful that without beginning or end, the universe is a vast, intricate matrix of energy, frequency, and vibration. And moving on. All right, what is thinking? In Latin, it's cognition, meaning, representation, language, and identification. Meaning-directed thought evaluates facts according to their positive or negative effect on life. This relative evaluation makes meaning more important than just facts. Thought is kept by memory. Memory must represent thoughts accurately and coherently. Thinking connects you to the facts of reality. Language specifies relations between ideas, objects, and actions. Identification verifies and validates facts by definition, description, explanation, and demonstration. And moving on. That's thinking has a context. Knowledge is the byproduct of humanity. Cognition lets you learn the means needed to attain an intention. Rationality or reasoning is the kind of thinking that solves problems or plots a course of action. Realization puts ideas or plans into action. It manages visualization before acting. It monitors behavior and interactions needed to get the job done. Every goal seeking or ambition follows this idea to action patterns. And moving on again. And here we have some closing remarks, and it is that manifest your purpose. Without purpose, life is a tragedy. Seek harmony and balance. Don't be satisfied with drifting along. And that's the end of my story.
All right. Can I ask that you stop sharing? Because
Yes,
wow,
yes.
that way we can have a conversation. Wow, Barry. Wow, wonderful presentation, by the way. I really enjoyed. I was writing a ton of notes here. Some of the things that I wanted to ask you about was you had those two images, which I think, when people say a picture can mean like 1,000 words, right? I think that's what I was getting when I was seeing these images. I was wondering if you can explain them a little bit more in depth. You had the 4 quadrants. For example, you used the example of what is thinking, and I think you had their meaning, representation, language, and identification. And then your following slide had 4 other ones. Can you explain how that one fits into the 4?
Yeah, because if you would have looked closely on the upper right-hand corner, you would have seen the cognition is bundled in there with the other 2. Intention, rationality, realization is only possible because of the means of cognition. So your means of having any knowledge requires that you think, that you identify reality, the facts of reality, that you utilize language to be more specific so you can utilize concepts, not just images. Concepts help you deal with details and fine tuning of what you know about. And also your memory is the representational capability to retain and retrieve. And if you do it coherently, things are in order in a very specific, logical, numerical, and categorical order. And that's why those 4 partitions or sectors are always the same. It's a fractal where they always, all the way through the ontology that I have, it's always using these 4 parts, these 4 sectors, because that's how your mind works. Your mind works with, first of all, having an end to seek, what you want, what's missing that you need to get. If you don't have that, no intention means no action. If you do have an intention, you must have some understanding that there's a reality that you got to deal with in order to get that intention done. And that's where cognition comes in. So it is what it takes to get your intention. You have to be able to think and identify reality. And the special kind of identity of facts is meaning, because is this beneficial or detrimental to my life, is how you identify meaning of things. And the representation is you want a coherent memory, and language helps you to pull it out and put it back in the right order. And so that's cognition, but that's just the means. In knowledge, it takes four things to get knowledge. In order to get knowledge, not only do you have thinking, but you have to have a special kind of thinking. It's called reasoning, rationality. That's your ability to solve problems, to set courses of action that are going to get the job done. Now, all of that is still abstract. Intention, cognition, rationality is abstract. You do have to deal with reality, so you got to interact with it. And that's when you come to realization of your intention. After, by using the means of thinking and reasoning, you do have to take action. And that's where you, first of all, visualize, you rehearse, you simulate, you model, so you don't waste a lot of time and energy. And then when you're ready to really put it in gear, you step up with real behavior and you interact and you monitor what you're doing, so you get feedback and you can do things strategically, the big picture, and know where you're going to ultimately end up and what it's going to take, and marshaling all your troops and resources to get it. But then there's also tactical behavior, which from second to second, minute to minute, should you go up, down, back or forth or round or about, under, over, whatever the obstacle is, that's a moment to moment tactics and operations. Okay, so you see that it cognition fits in, right?
Right. Yes, definitely. Wow. I'm just trying to truly understand this. So, for like someone who's just hearing this for the first time, how can they learn more about this system that you? Is there a process that you laid out somewhere? Like, how does someone learn more about this?
Okay, well, we're still in development, but I'm working with Mike Nimitz and I'm working with Ed Underwood, and we're putting together a coherent education model. Uh, uh, Mike and I have developed a 8-week course that I have to now flesh out in order to get it over to firefly.edu, and Jordan Page, he's waiting for a class to be delivered. And also Ed Underwood is going to be delivering his technique, his method, uh, in order to identify the style of learning and the readiness of learning for children. Mike is developing the courageous Leo lion story that takes my whole system and turns it into a storybook method to get to children's attention, and also a companion model or companion book to Leo for the parents to be able to understand it. So we're starting to get it out, and we'll continue to look to find locations to make it available. I put up on season 12 and season 13. I have 8 lessons each. And there's a replays under the event replays in the forum. You can find some of that. A lot of that's wasted time because I didn't even know how to share a screen.
It's not wasted, I would say, but
But that's
And
only for the people who are in autonomy. This is a non-autonomy event, so.
Okay, so anyway, I hope that answers your question.
no, yes, thank you, Barry. Wow, this is truly wonderful stuff. I want to definitely open it up to the audience here. If you guys have any questions for Barry, please unmute. If you
Yeah,
have,
I had some comments. Barry, I liked the initial part of the presentation. However, I do think that you threw way too many terms at us. Like there was like 4 slides in a row that were like, it went from 4 to 8 to like 32, and I think you lost everybody. Or, in my mind, I don't think it was a very easy transition. And I really feel like the complexity that you're trying to bring, or you're trying to simplify. I know it's simple in your mind, but for the rest of us, I don't think we can go past, 3 or 4 terms without digesting them in a way that we absolutely understand them. And I think that's where this thing gets a little bit difficult to understand for people. I I can say that I've been working with, I went through all of your classes and I'm grasping it. And I mean, I'm having great results because I'm implementing it into my mind and it is working for me. But I do think that there's, it, it has to be simple at first for people to gather the momentum. Because I think once you lose people with the complexity of the different words and definitions, it, you're off. They're just, you lost them, and then you can't really, uh, they can't really follow, and
Yeah.
that, like, that confusion is the problem. And so, like, that, that slide with the human and the different uh toroidal kind of things around it, I thought that was very good. I mean, I love that illustration. But then you had four different terms. I don't think anybody uses any of those terms in their regular life, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to spend some time on each of those terms in numerous ways so people can be familiar with those terms in a way that they feel comfortable with. Then you can move on.
Okay, I have two defenses or justifications. First of all, I did warn that that's my Achilles heel, that I do talk maybe above people's heads and I don't explain terms very well. The second is I was told that I would have 7 minutes, 7 minutes to develop this whole thing. And so I couldn't go into detail.
But
All right, so then
I hope you
that
didn't
means
hear
we
it
just
from me.
need to
I didn't give you.
reduce a number of those slides for a 7-minute presentation to basically that first one with with the 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 toroidal figure and the four terms, and just leave it at that.
But then I risk
Okay,
losing.
guys, I have to bring you back here. This is not autonomy. This is not review. This is not building your presentation. This is a portal panel, and we're presenting to people from all sorts of places, from all walks of life, from around the world. So this is not the place where to refine your presentation. This is the place to answer questions and create a connection with people who are going to come to the Portal Gatherings conference.
Well, I think it's going to be an important question because if people get lost, then they're,
Well, I understand that, but that's for Barry's
we're not.
next presentation. If you have a specific questions about this presentation and how to make it more understandable to people, then great. We welcome that.
Well, I think he mentioned something really good though. He's mentioned, and I think this can serve in helping us understand the effectiveness and position of Barry's system.
Yeah.
Mike, you said that you've kind of been deploying this and you've found great success. Can you share, if you don't mind, can you share a little bit about that success and how that's come about?
Yeah, well, I think I think what may be helpful is to explain that, our mind and our body are, there's a bunch of different things. And what I think Barry is talking about is our logical part of our mind, right? And being able to organize things in a way that allows your logical mind to operate at its optimum, then allows the rest of your body and mind to do the functions that it is without hindrance from all the cloudiness that most people are subject to by the way that they've kind of taught us to think. And to a large degree, we're not really thinking. We're we're just reacting with what we think are thoughts, but they're really kind of conditioned thoughts. And so, like, once you start to uh, organize your mind, then so I compare it to like a warehouse. many of us have been kind of taught just to like pack our memories and our experiences and everything into this place in our mind. And we treat it like a warehouse where we're just kind of packing stuff in and like nobody's in charge. And we're just stuffing stuff in there. Just put it over there, put it there, and put it on top of that. But when it comes to recall, we don't really have, oh, well, I think I put it over there last Tuesday, let me dig into this box. And that takes a lot of time. Whereas if you can organize it like a library, where you know where everything is, and you have like a central catalog where you can say, okay, what author is it? What's the subject matter? What's the key words? All that kind of stuff. And you know where to get it, just like when you go into a library and you look for a particular book, you find what shelf it's on, you go to that shelf and you got it. And it's the same kind of way how your memory works and how your mind can work so that you can start connecting the dots much faster. And Barry's a great example of that because man, he's going through stuff, you know, like light speed, and we're going, what the hell? Flipping through terms and all kinds of other stuff. You can do that yourself, but it does take a bit of time and organization. The thing is that your mind wants to save energy, and to a large degree, that's been used against you in the conditioning. But if you've got a system that your mind can use that actually is better and easier, your mind will adopt it. So all you've got to do is familiarize yourself enough with it that it starts to make sense. And now your subconscious mind basically just takes the task of organizing your mind. And once I really grasped that, then things started to change for me. Talking about manifestation, I've always wanted to be an author. Always wanted to write books. Never been able to. In the 50 plus years of my life, I've wanted it, but I've never been able to actually do it. And I've tried and I tried and I've failed miserably. However, now I'm writing anywhere from 500 to 3,000 words a day on various subjects. I'm making connections. Thoughts come into my mind. I'm writing them down. That goes to different things. Maybe I'm creating a poem out of them. Maybe I'm doing a dialogue. Maybe I'm doing a scene in my fiction book. Nevertheless, I'm doing it at a far higher level. And then at the same time, I'm also experiencing like empathy at a different level than that I can remember ever having, where I can actually empathize with people on a level that I really, it's hard to describe. But as I interact with people, I'm feeling more in touch with people than I've ever felt before. And then the other thing I'll just mention is dreams. When my dreams have never been so vivid as they've been recently. I mean, it's like going from black and white to color, it's so much different. And then as far as like control of my dreams, I can remember when I was a kid and I could kind of control my dreams. And I was a big Carlos Castaneda's fan in high school. And I used to do some of the Carlos Castaneda's exercises. And I would manifest in my dreams, have really wild and crazy dreams. However, since my high school days, I ain't seen anything like that. And for many, probably decades, I didn't even dream at all. Now I'm starting to get back to a point where, wow, my dreams are like amazing, and I'll like I look forward to taking a nap just so I can get to dreamland because it's so much fun. and as far as like manifestation, so I was just talking to somebody today about you know and it kind of goes along with this manifesting thing, uh being an author. I consider myself an author now, so like if I wake up in the middle of the night and I have a thought or an idea, and I think, well, maybe I'll go back to sleep. But no, that idea isn't going to that idea isn't just going to go to sleep with me. So no, I got to get up.
That's
I got to
right.
go over. I got to write it down. I might write for 2 or 3 hours,
Yeah.
and then and then I'll be okay. Now I'm ready to go to sleep. And it might be 8 o'clock in the morning, but who gives a damn? I'm an author now. And that's
I
kind of
have,
that thing of I'm in the present. I'm a freaking author in the present.
okay, I have one idea that I want to adjust a little bit, where you're saying it's all logic. There is this what I've put together. When you look at it as from the most fundamental, simple things, like the headphones on Carlos's ears, uh, to his glasses, to the highest level of first classes and then categories. It's a highway that takes you from things and actions all the way up through to the highest level of spirituality and the universe and energy, frequency, and vibration. So there is, under intention, you have intelligence, and intelligence has to do with your highest values, meditating and contemplating, and then also realizing your chakra energy centers of your body, and affirmative communication with your subconscious. And it also has to do with imagination, and with imagination comes creativity and intuition, which is direct uh, out of the cosmic awareness, your intuition, also up under individuality. We do have volition. That's what really makes human human, is the power to choose, willpower. And as part of that is conscience, which is keep me on track of making the right choices. And under conscience is where we get influence. It's like Pinocchio, and Jiminy Cricket sits on his shoulder and says, Pinocchio, that's not the good thing to do. And so we have a conscience, and that's what keeps us as conscientious people, because we know when we get off the track, we're going to get a little stab in our heart, say, or in the head, and say, get out of there. That's the wrong place to be. So it's not just logic, it's an avenue, a super highway from material realm across the bridge of your mind to the spiritual realm of unification. So that's not just logic. Okay.
Well, but there's a lot of other things that people kind of attribute to their thoughts, and some of those things are things that they sense.
Yeah.
Some of the things are things
Yeah,
that
of course.
like come to them, like their gut feeling and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
and those become clearer when your mind is uncluttered, right?
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
I'd always say this ontology is ordered by logic and by categories and by numbers. So it's consistent all the way through. And that's what gives it the power that it has. And talk about manifestation. 2 nights ago at 1:30, I was turning off my computer, ready to go to bed, and I heard a knock on my front door. I thought, that's weird, 1:30 in the morning. And I wasn't going to open the door. But I looked through the window that's on the side of the side of the door, so I could see who's standing at the door. And I see this long 6-foot train of a white sheet. And it's wrapped around some figure of somebody standing at my front door in a white sheet. And I'm wondering, what the hell is this? I am certainly not opening that door. And so I turned off lights and the computer. I went in the back room in my bedroom and just stayed there and fell asleep. And about an hour later, I came back out and nobody was there. Woo! Uh, that's manifestation of some sort.
Wow.
What were you
Very,
thinking about?
one last thing, because some things clicked in my mind now that Mike spoke and just kind of hearing your presentation. And I wanted to ask you, I came across the work of Giordano Bruno a few years back, and he talked about, I picked up his book because in the book it talked about like had a method of memorizing called memory palace method, or the method of Loki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but in any event, um, kind of hearing Mike talk a little bit more about your unified ontology, I couldn't help but kind of connect those two. Is there some similarities in that, or am I completely off here?
The thing is, because this is such a tightly related, integrated system, when you think of it, N means method result. That is so simple. If you want something, then you need to have the means to get it done, and you have to have a method to do it, and you have to come up with a result. So that's very interesting, and that goes all the way down through the whole thing. So, and it's always by fours. So it simplifies and clarifies your memory to be able to retain these things. So I have thousands of these things in my head from doing it, because it only goes four at a time, and we have an associative memory. So if you turn one thing on, it's going to turn on the things that are closest aligned to it in your memory. So it comes automatically forward thousands of relationships that happen because you put them in a very coherent manner, so that you have what's relative and absolute, and what's quantitative and what's qualitative, all in the right place.
And that's the last step of my 7 element, or of my elements of manifestation,
Good.
right? Take the first step. That's exactly what it is. You bring everything together and then you take the first step.
That's right.
And
Good.
just to add to what you said here, there is emotion, not all logic, but there is the emotional aspect
Oh yeah.
involved, right? So it's not logic.
Right up to
Works in tandem.
the very point of your conscience is reverence, trust, heart, and vitality. And that heart is the emotional part that doing the right thing gives you heartfelt goodness, sense of being good and well-being. And if you're doing wrong, you're going to be sorry, and you're going to feel sorry.
Emotions are what controls your knobs, the vibration knobs that we were talking about, right? Because if you really think about it, from the elements of manifestation, every single element is an emotion, right? And you're adjusting that emotion to the level that you want for the vibration to meet the thing you're creating at the same place. Because if your vibration is different than the thing you're desiring, they can never meet. They'll be like trains in the night. So the elements are the knobs you adjust with your emotions in order to create that reality.
Yes, and people forget that every thought has an emotional contingent to it, because thoughts are aimed for action, but action has to be emoted. It has to be moved forward. That's what emotion is to do. And so any thought about something has an intensity, how strong it is as far as its importance, and what direction. Is it positive for you, beneficial, or is it detrimental to you, negative? And so your emotion locks in the positive, negative intensity, and that drives your body forward. That brings out the energy. Yeah.
Exactly. And the emotions are like emotion is energy in motion. So
That's
that
right.
emotion is creating that reality for you. So it's up to you what emotions you have about a certain situation. But whatever you have is going to come true, because you're manifesting whether you want to or not, whether you choose to or not. It's not something you turn on and off. It's not something you're like, seek, oh, okay, I'm going to go get a rock from the beach. It's not like that. It's more like breathing. You're either conscious of your breathing and you're breathing deeply, or you're breathing however you're breathing without consciousness on it.
Well, and there's also like the conditioning. People are conditioned so that like they are conditioned into emotional responses to things. And to a large degree, that's what people are thinking is emotion, when that's just like a conditioned response. And the meaning of those emotions are so artificial, because you don't because most people don't understand how they come about, and the intricate details of that. And there again is, kind of the logic behind the thing. Understanding that allows you to, like, really discern what feels good versus what feels bad. Why does it feel bad? All those kind of things, going through those things, and then putting your mind to work on those things. Your mind is your subconscious mind is like a supercomputer that can solve practically, like the most incredible stuff. But, we're working on like a base level, for the most part, because of all the conditioning and programming that.
So if you think about those knobs as being knobs in the control board for your creation and manifestation, every single programming that you put into it will adjust the knobs. Whether that programming is from within or without, whether you're buying into the consciousness of your neighbors, or you're watching TV or reading newspapers or speaking to Uncle Joe about a certain topic, no matter what, it'll adjust the knobs. So you have to be very conscious and very careful about all the information that comes into your body, because everything will adjust the knobs. And then you have to undo it if you step into crap.
And because
Well,
of this world that we live in has been so abusive and corruptive to our psyche, it's not going to be an easy task. And that's what the greatness of Rene Devereaux's work on that under the iceberg, under the water level iceberg, that because of bad upbringing situations, and because people consciously misinform us, or twist and turn the meanings of words around so we get tricked, our subconscious picks up some bad information, and then it tries to protect us from having to deal with the truth of it. And so we do have to do as Renee says, is get down there and kind of clean it up. But if you have this logical categorical system of the ontology, it makes it easier, because you'll sense the vibrations are out of whack for a particular thought that you have. It's not matching up with your emotions. And so you can kind of identify, but you do then have to correct it. You have to recheck your basic premises of how you got such a screwed up conclusion. And when you can identify and clean that up, then you become a creator, a co-creator of the universe. You can manifest all kinds of things in the universe because you've cleaned up and have a coherent mentality. And that's where we want to get people to. And that's the whole ball of wax.
Well, and this is where, when people work together for a long time and they like almost know what the other person is doing, they can almost, that's kind of the when we're in tune with each other and in the universe, then that stuff can happen like magically. It's almost like magic. And then, maybe like the whole internet and all the stuff that we think is, so important, that we need all these wires and radio waves and stuff like that. Maybe we don't need all that at all. Maybe we can just have that
Right.
without any of this shit.
Yeah, if we transcend to that level, that's true.
Well, Barry, I think that while this was very profound in a good way, it was also very simple for me to grasp, especially with the conversation that Mike brought forth. Um, yes, it's very profound the things we're talking about here, but I get the sense or the intuition that it's a lot more simpler than we make it out to sometimes. Am I? What do you have to say?
Baby steps, it just takes 4 at a time. Just grab hold of 4 relationships at a time. That's all it takes.
I love that.
I thought that Barry's presentation was very much simplified and I was able to follow it and it was pretty good. So,
Good.
I mean, you're
Glad.
always very complex. See, I think you're the way you phrase sentences is very complex, right? So sometimes it's hard to understand, but I think that your presentation is solid.
Yes, Barry, you've come a long way.
At the risk of my identity, my complex identity, I'm risking losing it.
No, I wouldn't say that, Barry. I think you're just getting warmed up, if anything, especially the things that we talked about earlier about the product. Well, with that said, Barry, if people want to learn more about the stuff you're doing, what do you like? How can they find you? Where can they you know, like if people are interested in your work, what's
I
coming
mean,
up next for you?
the my 50-year vision is that this is going to go viral across the world, and we're going to have an organization which presents not only ontology of these relationships of the mind and of thought, but there are technologies which spin off of this ontology, 10 marvelous technologies, which I would like to develop with the autonomy people who are interested and ready to make a association which develops wellness centers around the world, mostly online, uh, and presents those technologies like what you're doing, Carlos. You're working with light, and my system is all vibration. Every little category has its own particular vibration, and we can also develop. I've done some very good things with the AI for developing a harmonic, cyclic, concentric, conformal cosmology, a model of the universe. And that universe, when it resonates, it will be able to generate energy. And the AI did say what you have, this design here you have can generate resonant frequencies. And so what you're doing is certainly we need to get together and see about fleshing that out as to the resonant frequencies of light and sound are very healing,
Yes,
more healing than any other medicine that we've got today.
yes,
So
Yes,
that's
I've been experimenting with some light stuff and I say it works pretty well, even though I have a very basic system, not at all professional. I did want to add something to what Barry said to, or actually respond to Barry about something you said. You said, at the risk of losing my identity, right? And I would say that in my philosophy, the risk of losing your identity is having your hands closed like this, right? And in order to receive the next incarnation of yourself, you need to open your hands to a new identity that you will be. And it would be probably akin to a crab losing its shell, right? I'm losing my shell, I'm losing my identity, right? But the crab loses its shell several times in a lifetime in order to build a better, new, bigger, more pretty, better colored, whatever shell that it has. So I wouldn't say it's like losing your identity. I would be like, it would be like you're still growing and developing.
that was in jest, you know.
I know, but you know, I'm here for clarity.
Thank you, Barry. Yes, and one of the things that I definitely want to talk to you about was I've come across in my research of light, like people refer to the human, like you mentioned your toroidals. I've come across work how people look at it like the sevenfold human constitution. And so I definitely want to talk to you about that because I think that there are some overlayers there. I think that's why I found that image so profound.
Yeah, right.
But does anyone have any additional questions, comments before we close out?
Wait, you were supposed to share my website too.
Oh, yes. Well, you know what? I'll give you the
I would like
opportunity,
to,
Agnieszka.
I would
Go
like
ahead
to
and
ask, I'd like to ask Eve if she could talk to us about what she thinks about the unified knowledge.
You don't know if she's ready to unmute, you know.
Oh, maybe not.
She may be
Maybe-
somewhere.
Yeah.
so what I hear is Barry would like some feedback. Uh, if anyone can unmute and provide him some feedback, please, if they wish.
All right. I just want to say hi, Barry. How are you? And my best feedback is that you have come a long way since I first met you, and you were talking about unified knowledge. Just about all of it went over my head. I thought, he needs somebody smarter. I think Richard needs to talk to him because I know he's got something here. I just don't understand it. But now, with all the simplified ways and the children's book and everything that you've been doing, it's becoming easier and easier to grasp. And you've come a very long way. And I think it's wonderful that people are now beginning to grasp your incredible idea and your incredible way of methods, because I think that like I thought right from the beginning, that you really have something here that's important.
Thank you, Holly. Holly is my autonomy birth mother because I did my blueprint conversation or call with Holly. And she invited Richard to call me back. It was great. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Any other questions?
Well, I want to
I
give you.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, John, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Carlos. Hi, Barry. I just wanted to say that I liked that you were using Tesla terminology, and I just wanted to ask, you mentioned energy, frequency, and vibration, which is, similar to like the 369 and the Tesla spiral and, the pyramids and what everybody talks about. So how can we connect with that?
Well, 369 is the vertical stepping of the universe. That the universe has two number systems. It has doubling, which is horizontal, of the substantial hologram, the simulation of the physical reality that our senses are scaled to understand, the entanglement of quantum energy. And so that goes horizontally, swirling as logarithmic spirals into the singularity at the center of the torus of the universe. And then the torus uses a Tesla coil. Well, I would use a Tesla coil in my model, but the torus, the singularity then spins upwards and downwards as a Tao, yin and yang mirror images of the energy. And at the peak of the torus is the first octave. Actually, it's the most complex octave. And the 369 is the numbering system that moves in 60 degrees. Actually, you can break it down to 15 degrees, but it's 3, 6, and 9 is steps vertically of the universe, bringing the energy from the top down to the equatorial plane. And at that point, all of those vibrations that are turned on, some are turned off, some are turned on. The opposite is the lower equatorial plane, and the entanglement occurs in this flat area. Sometimes they're talking about flat Earth. Well, actually, it's a flat universe. but it's thick. And that's what my model was showing in one of those slides, was showing how when you look at galaxies, you see the arms of the galaxies, spiral arms that circle then into the center, which is always a black hole, which is a singularity. So we see in front of us actual examples in the telescopes of the way the universe should have been taught to us. And now that Webb telescope is throwing the whole Big Bang theory right out the window, because it's finding very complex galaxies and clusters of galaxies at the very beginning of the universe. So it couldn't be that they had time to form. So we're realizing that the universe is cyclic. It is harmonic. It has octaves. And so 369 is the vertical flow of energy through the universe. So that's your answer. Complex.
Thanks.
Yeah. Mm.
Wow, I absolutely love it, Barry. Every time I talk to you, I feel like I get it more and more. So yeah, it's always a joy. Agnieszka, I want to give you the opportunity to plug your website if you can, please.
Yes, I'm here.
Where can people find you, Agnieszka?
So you can find me at ownyourbodylanguage.com, and I have some courses. I am making some changes in the way my courses are delivered, probably this fall. But you can certainly contact me, get on a mailing list. I do share my these portal panels with my mailing list, but also any kind of articles or anything that I write about body language and communication. So you're certainly welcome to email me or grab the lead magnet, the gift that I have on my website, and enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ownyourbodylanguage.com. I can even put it in the chat. And I also want to send special greetings to Tori, who is amazing and is here. And mwah. You don't have any questions? No.
Awesome.
All right, no worries.
Well, I just want to, before we close out, I just want to share my screen here. If you guys haven't already visited our beautiful website, I want to shout out Lexi for making this all possible here. Yeah, check it out, guys. Portalgatherings.com. Our tickets are available. Have our event will be in Tepoztlan next year, so hopefully you guys can join us, where you'll have an opportunity to interact with us in real life. So I want to thank everyone for joining us this July 9th of 2025 for this amazing panel. Barry, thank you. Agnieszka, thank you for your time and knowledge. It was, I found a lot of value in it. And catch us for next month. Next month, what's our topic about, Agnieszka? Oh, is it the human blueprint, is it?
Yes.
Memory sorting?
Yes, that is what it is.
It's going to be
It's
a special
yours.
presentation. Yes, and I will be the guest this time around, so hopefully you guys can join us for that. Until then, guys, have an excellent rest of your week.
Step through the portal.